Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to paint a nice iceberg rose on a nice colored background. Right now we're going to just do a simple one. We're going to put right here, and when we're done you can give it to a friend or hang it on your wall for yourself. So what we got is we have all of our gouache paint, we have our brushes, and we have our painter's palette. Now you can have a painter's palette like this one, like a plastic one, or you can have a painter's palette like this, which is a butcher's pan, and they're just really nice to use. As you can see, you just layers of paint will build up over time, and those will reactivate with the gouache as you go. And let's see, and then don't forget, we have our water. So I got 2 cups of water right here, 1, 2. So I like to wash my brushes with this, and then we use this one just to wash our brush off one more time to get it really nice and clean. As you can see, this is a lot more cleaner than this one. All right, for my first painting, I decided I'm going to use Chinese orange for my background, and then I have a burnt sienna, cadmium yellow, I have an olive green, and then obviously for my shading, I'm going to use a permanent white, and I have an ivory black. All right, for our reference photo, I like to go through books. So I'm using this book called On Flowers, and I found this really lovely flower in here of a nice iceberg rose, it looks like. I have these growing in my yard right now, so I thought this would be a lovely flower to add to some of the decor in my house. It has a nice little bud right here, and it has a nice opening, so we can just recreate this flower. It's got some nice little roses, leaves here, and we'll just try to recreate that for our painting. So this is going to be our reference photo. So to start, I always like to add a little bit of drawing on here just to get a sense of where the flower is actually going to go. And so to start, I like to draw the little stamen in the center. I like to use line work for where these petals are going to go. And you don't have to be totally accurate when you're doing this. Remember, this is all just loosely based off our reference photo. So like this one. This first one, we're going to create the petal like this. This one looks like it kind of just open up there. All right, let's now we're gonna start with the background. For that, I'm gonna use Winsor & Newton Series 7 brush. This is a round 5. I'm gonna start getting this. And I'm gonna start with a little bit of this white. I'm gonna put it right here in my palette. I'm gonna take some of this Chinese orange. You could use any background color you want. I'm just gonna add a little bit there. I'm gonna get a little bit more of this white. I'm gonna get a nice little pink color here. I like to loosely kind of like this. I like to kind of keep my backgrounds loose, you know, for these, because they're a little bit nicer to just have a little bit of fun with. I'm gonna go around my little petals. Now you certainly can paint the entire background and then paint on top of it, but because I'm painting white on top of this nice Chinese orange, I tend to like to keep the majority of where I'm going to put that pure white color down, just to keep it nice and fresh, so I'm not reactivating the gouache underneath. But what's nice about it is you can come back in here and you can clean up any of these lines. Color, we're going to use some permanent white, and I'm putting it into a little bit of this gray that I have going. If you don't have gray, you can always add a tiny touch of ivory black. Okay, for the leaves, I'm going to use my olive green for this, so you can just put it in your painter's palette. I'm going to put mine right here. And I'm going to lighten it up by using a little bit of this permanent white. For this, I've decided to use a Winsor & Newton Series 7 round 3 for these, because they're a little bit smaller, so. All right, so for the small details of these leaves, I am going to use a Winsor & Newton Series 7 round 1 brush, and I'm gonna lighten my olive green up with a little bit of this permanent white. So just put that right into the olive green that you've been using, lighten it up with a little bit of that white, and we can make these nice little stems on these leaves. All right, now to add a little bit of depth to these leaves, I'm just gonna add in some of this olive green. Just keep it as dark as it comes out of the tube, and just do a little bit of this under the shadow of the leaf, and that'll just give it a little bit of the depth that we're looking for. Start at the top up here. We're ourselves down. So what I'm gonna do is use just a tiny bit of this ivory black along with mixing it into some of my permanent white right here. Try to get this kind of shade of gray. And remember, I'm only gonna do just a tiny bit of black here. So I'm gonna put a little drop of ivory black right there. I'm gonna use a Winsor & Newton Series 7 round number 1 for this, just to get some of the little detail. Tiny little black in there. These could even be a little bit darker. I think it's okay right now. We're essentially just trying to create the effects of a petal. I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow up here, like this. Come down here. It's a little bit lighter. Maybe there's some shadow up on this. Okay, now that we have our petals, we got like some little dark shading here. We have our beautiful leaves in there. We're gonna go in and do the center part of this rose. So we're gonna use a little bit of this cadmium yellow along with this permanent white, just to brighten it up. A little bit of yellow here. Now we can start to fill in this little center circle. I'm gonna start off by just doing a little bit of around dot here. And then from there, we can go out from that center by doing these little, stamen pieces. And we don't have to be like crazy accurate. We can just have a little bit of fun with it, right? Okay, now that we have the yellow down, we can end the painting with a little bit of this burnt sienna. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on my color palette. Just need a little bit. And let's mix that up. I might lighten it up a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it, just to give it a little bit of lighter color. So I'm coming here, do a little bit of, we're gonna start in the center by making it just a little bit darker. Just like this. And then we're gonna come out, we're gonna start doing the ends of these little tips. Some can be a little bigger, some can be smaller. All right, there we go. We have our nice, wonderful flower. We can end this by putting our little initials here, or your last name, or whatever signature that you have. And then we can put it in a nice mat and put it in a nice frame, and you'll have a very nice little flower for your artwork at home. Again, we'll show you these colors. We started off with, our olive green, had our Chinese orange for the background, permanent white, as well as using some of our ivory black. We had cadmium yellow for the stamen piece, and we topped it with a little bit of the burnt sienna just to give it a little detail on those. A few brushes here we used our Winsor & Newton Series 7 brushes. We started off with the Series 7 round 5 for the background. Series 7 round 3 for the petals, a round number 2, a round 0, and a round 1, where you could see a little bit of the difference on there, but you could use either one of these just for a little bit of the details that we had on some of the leaves, some of the petals, and then certainly on the stamen in there. Well, there we go. We just created an awesome iceberg rose with our gouache paint. A really easy and simple tutorial for anyone that's interested in gouache and painting. If you would like to expand your artistic skills today, I have an online course where you can enroll right now. Check it out. It's on bolterdesignco.com, and you can get started literally right now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and look forward to joining you with more gouache paintings in the future.